Welcome back, seekers of forgotten lore. Today we journey to Solstheim, the ash-covered island torn from Skyrim itself, where the First Dragonborn awaits, and the Daedric Prince of Knowledge hungers for secrets that mortals were never meant to possess. This is the complete accounting of Solstheim Island as revealed in the Dragonborn DLC. Every fact, every location, every dark truth about Miraak's rebellion, the Skaal's sacred traditions, House Redoran's struggle for survival, and the black books that serve as doorways to Hermaeus Mora's nightmare realm. From the ash-choked streets of Raven Rock to the frozen halls of Thirsk, from the mushroom towers of Mithryn to the Summit of Apocrypha itself, we will uncover the full story of an island where two Dragonborn were destined to meet, where ancient dragon priests guard forbidden knowledge, and where the line between champion and servant of darkness grows ever thinner. This is a tale of betrayal spanning millennia, of the price mortals pay for power, and of an island that has become a prison for the most dangerous Dragonborn who ever lived. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if you like the content. The ash falls like snow upon this forsaken island, a grim reminder that the world itself can bleed. I have walked the length and breadth of Solstheim, this fragment of land torn from Skyrim's mainland in ages past, and I tell you now what I discovered there shall haunt me until my final breath. Located northeast of Skyrim and northwest of Vvardenfell, this island has become a crossroads where the fates of two peoples intertwine, where the desperate dark elves of Morrowind sought refuge after the eruption of Red Mountain in the year 4E5, and where ancient powers stir beneath layers of ash and ice. Let me speak first of that cataclysmic day when Red Mountain exploded with such fury that its blast wave crossed the Sea of Ghosts and struck Solstheim with devastating force. The eruption toppled stone structures and obliterated wooden buildings across the southern reaches of the island, transforming what had once been forests and plains into barren ashlands reminiscent of Vvardenfell itself. Fort Frostmoth, that stalwart imperial garrison that had protected the mining settlement of Raven Rock, was buried beneath mountains of ash and left as nothing but ruins. The relentless ash storms that followed left deep dunes that made life exceedingly difficult. Yet, in an ironic twist of fate, those who were working deep in the ebony mines at the time found themselves shielded from the blast, their underground sanctuary becoming their salvation. The geography of Solstheim in this fourth era bears witness to this catastrophe, split between two distinct realms as if the gods themselves could not decide its character. The northern reaches remain dominated by an Arctic climate similar to that found in Winterhold Hold, with ice, fields stretching endlessly beneath freezing winds, while the southern portion features the jagged, barren ashlands, where the fallout from Red Mountain continues to reshape the land. The island is divided into four distinct regions: Felsod Coast, Herstang Forest, Eisenfear Plains, and Mosring Mountains, each bearing its own secrets and dangers. But now, let us speak of Raven Rock, that mining town on the southern coast, which stands as a testament to perseverance against impossible odds. Originally established by the East Empire Company during the late Third Era as a mining outpost to extract the abundant ebony ore from its depths, Raven Rock in the year 4E 201 is a far cry from its former prosperity. The once thriving imperial settlement has transformed into something altogether different, its architecture and culture now bearing the heavy influence of the dark elves who came as refugees. House Redoran banners adorn the walls outside the settlement, and the Redoran Guard patrols its streets under Captain Veleth's watchful command, for this is now a Dunmer colony. I must now turn your attention to the remarkable history of how this transformation came to pass. In the first year of the Fourth Era, after the destruction of Aldrune in Morrowind, the great houses sent groups to seek new places to re-establish themselves. Mistress Brera Morvain of House Redoran led her people to Solstheim and, through negotiations with the East Empire Company, some whisper that considerable coin changed hands, secured permission for Dunmer refugees to settle in Raven Rock. These dark elves proved themselves hard-working and reliable miners, their experience in the Quama mines of Morrowind serving them well in the ebony extraction. Yet there is more to tell of the great wall called the Bulwark that protects Raven Rock's eastern flank from the endless ash drifts. After years of relentless ash storms transformed the southern reaches into wasteland, Brara Morvain proposed that the East Empire Company construct this massive edifice according to her own design. After nearly a year of construction, the bulwark stood complete, and it proved extraordinarily effective, allowing work to continue unabated in the mines. In 4E16, when the High King of Skyrim graciously offered Solstheim to the Dunmer people as a new homeland, the East Empire Company was forced to relinquish control of Raven Rock to House Redoran. Allow me to tell you about the challenges that befell Raven Rock under Dunmer stewardship. In 4E95, an assassination attempt was made upon the life of Councillor Loril Morvain, the descendant of Brara who now ruled the settlement. Under questioning by Captain Modin Veleth of the Redoran Guard, the assassin was revealed to be Velur Ulen of House Halalu. This attempt was meant to send a message to the Grand Council that House Redoran was vulnerable and weak, for the tensions between Halu and Redoran had festered since House Halu's removal from the council. The Redoran Guard discovered that Villier had been organizing a coup d'état to wrest full control of the island from Laeril's grasp. Villier and his conspirators were executed, and the coup was quelled. Several events served to solidify the Dunmer people's respect for Loril Morvain. In 4E130, when the bulwark began to show its age and threatened to crumble, the councillor elected to use the bulk of his personal fortune to have it repaired. In 4E150, when a small force of Argonians landed on Solstheim with intent to wreak havoc during the larger Argonian invasion of Morrowind, Councillor Morvain personally led the charge against them. And in 4E170, when the ebony mine that had sustained Raven Rock for generations finally began to dry up, he drained the remainder of his coffers, keeping the people fed. By 4E181, the mine's ebony veins were completely exhausted, and Laeral ordered its closure, forcing Raven Rock to turn to hunting and fishing for its trade. I shall now turn to the settlement of Tel Mithryn, that peculiar Telvanni establishment on the southeastern peninsula of Solstheim. Here resides Master Neloth, a wizard lord of House Telvanni, who is said to be one of the oldest and most respected members of his house. Some even claim he is the most powerful wizard in all of Morrowind. Before the eruption of Red Mountain in 4E5, Neloth departed from his tower of Tel Naga in Sadrith Mora, Vardenfell, and relocated to Solstheim, bringing with him fungal cuttings from Morrowind. Using the ancient Telvanni sorcery, he grew his citadel Tel Mithryn and the surrounding buildings from these massive mushroom cuttings, while his mycologist Alinia Mothrin continues to nurture them to this day. Neloth's settlement consists of 4 towers. The main tower, where he resides with his apprentice Talvas Fathrion, the apothecary, the kitchen, and the steward's house. Since the Levitation Act of 3E421 had outlawed levitation magic throughout the Empire, and all Telvanni towers traditionally use such magic to scale their heights, Neloth dealt with this prohibition by creating a magical device at the base of the tower stem, a small circular pad embedded with glowing runes that acts as an elevator, channeling arcane energy vertically through the hollowed mushroom stem to a pronged focal point near the top, which connects to the rooms within. It was around the time of his arrival on Solstheim that Neloth began studying the ash and molten rocks that landed on the island's shores from Red Mountain. He named them Heartstones and learned through his research that they possessed the capacity to raise ash spawn from pieces of bone buried in the nearby ash. Neloth deduced that because these stones lay next to the heart of Lorkhan for millennia, some vestige of its power must have seeped into them, holding secrets with the potential to unlock great power. Using his knowledge of Heartstones, he created a staff enchanter, an exceptional feat beyond the skill of many wizards and mages, powered by a large Heartstone and capable of enchanting staves from all schools of magic. Yet, there are darker forces at work on this island, and I must speak now of Miraak, the First Dragonborn, whose very name means Allegiance Guide in the dragon language. Born during the Merithic era, when dragons ruled Skyrim and were worshipped as gods, Miraak served as a dragon priest on Solstheim, leading the dragon cult with a temple dedicated to his name. He rose high in the dragon's esteem and was granted a mask by them, but his loyalty to these winged overlords proved less firm than they had assumed. At some point during his service, Miraak came into possession of a black book, one of those esoteric tomes of forbidden knowledge created by Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of Knowledge and Fate. Through this black book, Miraak encountered Hermaeus Mora himself and became his champion. The Demon of Knowledge taught Miraak a shout of terrible power bend, will capable of forcing both dragons and mortals into submission. With this forbidden knowledge and his innate ability as Dragonborn to devour the souls of dragonkind, Miraak turned on his winged masters and killed a great number of them. 3 dragon priests, Azidal, Dukan, and Zakrisos, joined him in his rebellion and became his 3 most powerful servants, known as the Acolyte priests. Allow me to tell you about the ancient Nord heroes who sought Miraak's aid during the Dragon War. Hakon One-Eye, Gormlaith Golden Hilt, and Feldir the Old pleaded with Miraak to use his power as Dragonborn to assist them in defeating Alduin, the World Eater, but Miraak refused to help them and instead pursued his own rebellion against the dragons. This betrayal earned him the title, the Traitor in Skaal legend. The dragons, enraged by his treachery, razed his temple on Solstheim in retaliation. If you're still with me after hearing this, hit that like and subscribe button. Miraak's rebellion was eventually challenged by another dragon priest named Valak, who would come to be known as Valak the Jailer. According to Skaal legend, the battle between Miraak and Valak was so tremendous that it tore Solstheim from the mainland of Skyrim itself. Valak proved more powerful than the First Dragonborn and defeated him in legendary combat. Just as Valak was about to deliver the killing blow, Hermaeus Mora intervened and transported the injured Miraak to his Daedric realm of Apocrypha, saving him from certain death. The dragons then appointed Valak as ruler of Solstheim, but not before he was compelled to swear an oath of vigilance to watch for Miraak's return, earning him the title, the Guardian. Miraak spent the following millennia building his power within Apocrypha, that nightmarish realm of oblivion ruled by Hermaeus Mora. Let me speak first of Apocrypha itself, for it is unlike any plane of existence you might imagine. The realm appears as an endless sea of roiling black oil, toxic to any who fall into its depths, with greasy tentacles slithering beneath the waves. The sky above is tinged with green, filled with dark clouds and numerous portals through which Hermaeus Mora travels, appearing as a mass of writhing tentacles and eyes, or sometimes as a single vast eye that watches all who dare enter his domain. Rising up from this poisonous sea are many cathedral-like structures built of crumbling stone and iron walkways. The most prominent feature of Apocrypha is the overwhelming abundance of books that make up Hermaeus Mora's library giant. Stacks of reading material break the surface of the sea, shelves literally crammed to bursting with ancient scrolls and smoldering journals line every hall and wall. Heaps of books and papers litter the floors, and even entire buildings are constructed from twisting stacks of volumes. Every book bears a black cover with no title. Masses of ghosts move through these stacks, rifling through books, eternally searching for the knowledge they sought while living. These books are protected and maintained by the Seekers and Lurkers, who act as the principal security force of Apocrypha. There are also shifting areas of darkness in some regions of this realm, which continuously damage anyone who ventures into them, and the black liquid itself will kill within seconds should one fall into it. Even venturing close to the edge is dangerous, as tentacles may emerge from the water to strike at the unwary. Apocrypha is divided into several isolated regions, each accessible by reading a different black book, and these regions are then separated into chapters, each reachable by a book that teleports the reader from one chapter to another. But now, let us speak of the black books themselves, those esoteric tomes of forbidden knowledge that serve as doorways to Mora's realm. The materials for their creation are prepared within a bindery in Apocrypha known as Choir's Wind, before being presented to Hermaeus Mora to pen and complete. The books are written with seeker ink that takes 10 years to brew, on paper pressed from trees that have never seen the sun. The covers are derived from lurker leather, and the threads used to bind the tomes together come from silk originating from the spiral skein. The thick volumes are bound in black covers, with a symbol representing Mora on the front, and they emit a black mist. 7 different black books were scattered throughout the ruins of Solstheim, 3 of them guarded by the dragon priests Azadal, Dukan, and Zakrisos. When a black book is read, tentacles emerge from the tome and envelop the reader, transporting them to Apocrypha, while an apparition of their body remains in the mortal world, tethering their life force. Most mortals who read a black book are driven insane, but those who successfully journey through Apocrypha discover powerful knowledge and abilities. The black books bear names such as epistolary acumen, filament, and filigree, the Hidden Twilight, the Sallow Regent, Untold Legends, the Winds of Change, and Waking Dreams, each containing its own secrets and granting different powers to those who survive the trials within. I must now turn your attention to the Skaal, that isolated tribe of Nords who dwell in the frozen northern reaches of Solstheim. The Skaal village is located on the Felsad coast, just north of Lake Fjalding, and is the northernmost settlement in all of Tamriel. The Skaal are descended from Nords who served the dragon cult on Solstheim during the Merethic era, but over the eras, their isolation led them to develop a distinct culture and religion unlike any other in Tamriel. They live in sturdy wooden dwellings arranged around a central grethal which hosts feasts and other gatherings, and Skaal honor guards protect the village from intruders. The Skaal are distinguished by their worship of a single deity, the Allmaker, rejecting the pantheon of the Empire entirely. 2. The Skaal, the Allmaker, is the source of all life and creation. When a creature dies, the Skaal believe its spirit returns to the Allmaker, who shapes it into something new and returns it to the mortal plane to live out a new life in a new body. Because of their belief in this cycle of reincarnation, the Skaal view death not as an ending but simply as a point in the cycle of existence, and they have not created the extensive tombs seen throughout Skyrim. All life is sacred to the Skaal, and they strive to live in harmony with nature, impacting their environment as little as possible. They hunt deer, bear, and horker, only to the extent necessary for survival, never for enjoyment or practice, and they gather firewood from dead trees that have already fallen. Within Skaal culture, the villagers are provided according to need, as the Skaal have little in the way of personal resources. Because of this, theft is punished severely, either by exile or sacrifice to the Cainlorn wolves, ceremonial spirit wolves residing in the realm of the Allmaker. Those who are exiled are never to be aided by the Skaal again, even in their most dire need, while those sacrificed to the wolves are believed to have their spirits purified so they can be reborn. Yet there is more to tell of the sacred Allmaker stones that dot the island. The Skaal believe that 6 standing stones scattered across Solstheim, the Beast Stone, Tree Stone, Wind Stone, Sun Stone, Earth Stone, and Water Stone, are integral to maintaining the oneness of the land and represent the most important parts of nature and the greatest gifts of the Allmaker. These towering stones hum with magical energy and must be kept pure from corrupting forces. The Skaal also have their own understanding of the Draugr that walk the crypts of Solstheim. Unlike the traditional Nordic view, the Skaal believe that Draugr were once normal warriors who, after being trapped on the island and becoming hungry, resorted to cannibalism by eating their fallen comrades. The Skaal hold that the Allmaker cursed them with undeath as punishment, condemning them to an everlasting search for more flesh to consume. Young Skaal men must hunt and kill a Draugr single-handedly as a coming-of-age ritual to prove they are fit to be men of the Skaal. Though they worship only the Allmaker, the Skaal acknowledge both Hermaeus Mora and Hircine as opposing forces to what the Allmaker represents. To the Skaal, Hermaeus Mora, or as they call him, Hermaeus Mora, is the demon of knowledge who thirsts for the secrets of nature that the Allmaker gifted to the Skaal, which they must protect from the Daedric Prince at all costs. The Skaal also speak of the adversary, the antithesis of the Allmaker, who has many aspects designed to test the Skaal so they do not become lazy and weak. One aspect of the adversary is Thartag, the World Devourer, likely the Skaal's version of Alduin, the World Eater. Allow me to tell you about the ancient knowledge, the Skaal Guard, regarding the island's formation. According to their oral history, Solstheim was originally part of Skyrim until a climactic battle between dragon cult loyalists and rebels, specifically between the Guardian and the Traitor, tore the island from the mainland. This legend, preserved in their tale, called The Guardian and the Traitor, describes how the Guardian proved more powerful and bested the Traitor. But just as the Guardian was about to land the final blow, Hermaeus Mora snatched the Traitor away, rescuing him from certain death. As a reward for his loyalty, the Guardian was given Solstheim to rule, where his reign is remembered as peaceful and prosperous. In the year 4E201, events of terrible import began to unfold. Miraak, who had been imprisoned in Apocrypha for thousands of years, finally found a way to exert his influence upon the mortal world. Using arcane magical powers, he began to overtly control the minds of Solstheim's people while they slept, making them unknowingly work for him around the island. The entranced population worked on rebuilding his temple and constructing arches around the Allmaker stones, which were meant to assist in his return by harnessing the energy of these sacred sites. The Last Dragonborn's journey to Solstheim began after an attack by cultists who served Miraak. Upon investigating the cultists' bodies and discovering orders revealing their origins on the island, the Dragonborn chartered passage aboard the Northern Maiden, a ship captained by Gjalland Saltsage that plies its trade between Windhelm in Skyrim and Raven Rock on Solstheim. Upon arriving at Raven Rock, it immediately became apparent that the majority of Solstheim's population had been unconsciously enslaved by Miraak and forced to work on the runic monoliths around the Allmaker stones. Among those unaffected by Miraak's control was Master Neloth, the Telvanni wizard who directed the Last Dragonborn to the Temple of Miraak. There, the Dragonborn encountered Freya, daughter of Storn Cragstrider, who was the shaman of the Skaal. Freya was immune to Miraak's control and had been attempting in vain to break his spell over her people. She accompanied the Dragonborn into the temple, where they discovered the black book called Waking Dreams. Reading this book unwittingly transported the Dragonborn to Apocrypha, where they witnessed Miraak planning his invasion of Tamriel. Miraak discovered the Dragonborn's presence, incapacitated them, and dismissed them as inferior before having a pair of seekers, guardians of Apocrypha, return them to Solstheim. From that point forward, whenever the Last Dragonborn killed a dragon, there was a 25% chance that Miraak would appear in a semi-transparent and invulnerable state to absorb the dragon's soul, preventing the Dragonborn from obtaining it while taunting them before disappearing. I shall now turn to the 3 dragon priests who served as Miraak's acolytes, each guarding one of the black books scattered across Solstheim. First among them was Azidal, whose name means embittered destroyer in the dragon language. The man who would become Azidal grew up in the first Atmaran city of Sarthal during the late Merethic era. As a child, his aptitude for magic was evident to his tutors, and when he reached adulthood, he surpassed all of them in skill. Driven by an insatiable hunger for knowledge, Azidal became the first great Nord enchanter and possibly the first human to master elven methods of arcane magic. But tragedy struck when Azidal returned to Sarthal, only to discover that the elves had sacked the city and all who lived there were dead and gone. Amid the ashes, in the smoldering ruins of his home, he swore a terrible oath of vengeance, and from that comes the name the legends gave him. Azidal's pursuit of power to exact his revenge led him down darker paths. He sought out the secrets of oblivion itself, but this quest ultimately drove him to madness. Azidal finally lost himself, falling prey to his own pursuit of perfection, and fled to Solstheim, where he was sealed away by the dragon cult within the depths of Kolbjorn Barrow, together with the last of his relics. Azidal was encountered in Kolbjorn Barrow during an excavation led by a Dunmer named Rallus Sideris, whose mind had been corrupted by the dragon priest's influence. Azidal wore robes that were green, in contrast to the purple clothes of other dragon priests, and he is one of only 2 dragon priests who possess a complete set of armor, the other being Miraak. His mask grants 50% resistance to fire and increases fire-based destruction magic damage by 25%. When worn with 3 other relics of Azidal, his boots, gauntlets, and ring, the wearer gains an additional fortification to enchanting by 10 points, an effect called Azidal's Genius. The second of Miraak's acolyte priests was Dukan, whose name means dishonor in the dragon language. Dukan was entombed in White Ridge Barrow in the northern reaches of Solstheim. As a frost-based dragon priest, Dukan's magical prowess with ice spells was formidable, and the mask he wore augmented his destructive frost magic considerably. His mask grants the wearer 50% resistance to frost and increases frost-based destruction magic damage by 25%. The mask bears the unique enchantment called Dukan's Fury. The third acolyte priest was Zakrisos, whose name can be translated as Sword Blood in the dragon language. He was seemingly a member of the Bloodscale clan and was entombed in a sealed section of Bloodscale Barrow. In 4E10, the Raven Rock Ebony Mine broke into the sealed portion of the barrow, but the entrance was quickly sealed off by the East Empire Company after the death of a miner named Gratian Carelius within. The barrow could only be accessed using the Bloodscale Blade, a unique red sword that possessed the power to unlock the sealed chamber with special energy blasts. Zakrisos is unique among dragon priests in several ways. He is the only leveled dragon priest in the game, with his level capped at 60, making him one of the 3 most powerful such foes. His name is also rare in that it can be divided into 3 words of power instead of 2. As a shock-based dragon priest, Zakrisos's proficiency with lightning magic was exceptionally high, and he was able to levitate above the water during combat. His mask grants 50% resistance to shock and increases shock-based destruction magic damage by 25%, though curiously, the enchantment is also named Dukan's Fury due to an apparent error. Yet there is more to tell of Thirsk Mead Hall, that legendary establishment located on the eastern coast of Lake Fjölding in the northern reaches. The hall was founded over 300 years ago, some rumors claim closer to 700, by Hrothmund the Red, a member of the Skaal who rejected their strict worship of the Allmaker and yearned for the hardy Nord lifestyle of old at Mora. Hrothmund and his followers traveled southward from Skaal village and found an open clearing along the shores of Lake Fjölding, where they established their mead hall. The construction of Thirsk awoke an ancient beast called the Udurfrykte, a mystical troll of tremendous power who lived in an alcove around Lake Fjölding. The monster arose from his cave and destroyed the hall, bringing the Thirsk Nord numbers down by half. All hope was lost until a powerful sorcerer named Eldred Icelight used his magic to defeat the Udurfrykte and seal him in his home. Thirsk was reconstructed in the span of 2 months, though the work was tiring and tedious. The hall became a place where Nord warriors could live and fight in the wilderness according to the old ways, downing mead around the clock and telling tales of heroic deeds. In true Nord tradition, numerous legends of chieftains getting killed by their successors surrounded the hall's violent history. However, by the 4th era, the comforts of the mead hall had made the residing warriors too lazy. After growing soft with too much mead, too many stories, and too few battles, the hall became an easy target for a group of invading Reeklings who overwhelmed the warriors through tenacity and numbers. The previous leader, Bujold the Unworthy, and the other Nord warriors fled the hall and set up camp along the beach at a location that came to be known as Bujold's Retreat. The Reeklings who took over Thirsk Mead Hall were led by a chief who possessed the remarkable ability to speak, though his vocabulary was quite limited. He could communicate requests to visitors and demanded help with various tasks, including returning their bristleback, named Bilgmuk, to its pen, gathering 10 Scathcraw plants, and ultimately eliminating the displaced Nords at Bujold's Retreat. Those who sided with the Reekling chief and 9 completed these tasks became recognized as the new leader of the Thirsk Reekling tribe, gaining the ability to recruit Reeklings as followers, and occasionally receiving aid from groups of up to 3 Reeklings during combat anywhere in Solstheim or even Skyrim. Alternatively, one could choose to help Bujold and her warriors retake the mead hall from the Reeklings. This path required purging Thirsk of its infestation, and then accompanying Bujold to Hrothmund's barrow, where the spirit of Hrothmund himself spoke. The ancient founder expressed disappointment that the warriors had grown soft, and that the hall's fall should never have happened, denying Bujold his blessing for leadership, and revealing that she had lied about receiving his blessing in the past. The choice of how to handle this revelation, whether to exile Bujold or allow her to continue leading, determined the future of Thirsk Mead Hall. I must speak now of Stahlrim, that remarkable material known as enchanted ice which exists nowhere else in Tamriel. In ancient times, this rock-like substance was used in the burial rituals of Nords on Solstheim. The deceased would be encased in Stahlrim as a form of protection, a privilege typically reserved for Nordic individuals of importance. During the War of the First Council, many Nords fell in battle against the Dunmer, and those who could not be returned to Skyrim were brought to Solstheim to be buried. The Skaal used magics drawn from the land itself to protect these Nordic tombs from grave robbers, encasing the bodies in ice that would become Stahlrim. By the 4th era, only the Skaal people retained the secret to crafting Stahlrim armor and weapons. The material possesses innate properties that make frost enchantments placed upon items crafted from it 25% more potent. This includes frost damage, resist frost, and even the frost component of chaos damage enchantments. Stahlrim can only be mined using an ancient Nordic pickaxe, and a total of 19 deposits can be found throughout Solstheim, granting 57 pieces of the material in total. Mining a Stahlrim deposit takes twice as long as mining other ores, requiring 6 hits with a pickaxe per ore chunk. The knowledge of stalhrim crafting was nearly lost when Baldur Ironshaper, the blacksmith of Skaal village, was kidnapped by Thalmor agents who sought to learn the secrets of working this unique material. The Thalmor had stolen a map showing the location of a large stalhrim deposit and held Baldur captive at the abandoned lodge. The leader of these agents, an operative named Ancarian, waited with his team at North Shore Landing, where he could be convinced through persuasion or intimidation to relinquish the map or alternatively be killed for it. After Baldur's rescue and the retrieval of the map, the location called the Stahlrim Source became accessible in an area northwest of White Ridge Barrow, containing 10 deposits yielding 30 pieces of Stahlrim. If these facts has kept you listening this far, and you want more of these facts from Skyrim, hit that like button. It really motivates me to create more such videos. Crafting Stahlrim equipment requires the Ebony Smithing perk and a smithing skill of 80. The material can be forged into both heavy and light armor variants, as well as weapons of all types. Stahlrim heavy equipment offers an exceptional ratio of armor points per unit weight, 102 armor points at 59 weight, providing 1.73 armor per weight, making it superior to even Daedric armor in terms of efficiency, though with only a 5% loss in overall defense compared to Daedric's 108 armor points at 81 weight. Allow me to tell you about the path the Last Dragonborn took to finally confront Miraak. After cleansing several of the Allmaker stones using the Bend Will Shout, the very same dragon shout that Hermaeus Mora had taught to Miraak millennia ago, Dragonborn required the final word of this powerful Thuum. Hermaeus Mora demanded a price for this knowledge. The ancient secrets of the Skaal that had been faithfully kept from the Daedric prince for generations. Storn Cragstrider, the shaman of the Skaal, agreed to meet with Hermaeus Mora to protect his people and free Solstheim from Miraak's shadow forever. When Storn opened the Black Book in the Skaal village, Hermaeus Mora appeared as a mass of writhing tentacles and extracted the knowledge directly from Storn's mind, killing him in the process. Freya, Storn's daughter, watched helplessly as her father sacrificed himself, the ancient traditions and powers of the Skaal torn from his consciousness. With one end of the bargain fulfilled, Hermaeus Mora taught the Last Dragonborn the final word of Bend Will, granting them the power necessary to face Miraak on equal terms. The final confrontation took place at the Summit of Apocrypha, deep within the most dangerous reaches of Hermaeus Mora's realm. Miraak arrived mounted upon Sauratar, one of his 3 servant dragons, the others being Relonikiv and Cruziakrel. The First Dragonborn demonstrated the dragon aspect shout, surrounding himself with the spectral armor of ancient dragon power, and declared that the realm was beyond the Last Dragonborn's ability to control. The battle that followed was unlike any other, for Miraak's power was immense and his mastery of the Thuum nearly unmatched. The combat was scripted by fate itself. When Miraak's health dropped below 20%, he would become ethereal and head to the pool in the center of the platform, where he would kill one of his servant dragons and absorb its soul to regain full health. This cycle had to happen twice before the final phase of battle could commence. Yet there was treachery even here, for Hermaeus Mora had grown weary of Miraak's plotting and rebellion. The First Dragonborn harbored fantasies of escaping the Daedric prince's service and returning to Tamriel as its conqueror, but Hermaeus Mora had already chosen a replacement champion. As Miraak weakened in the final moments of combat, Hermaeus Mora intervened personally, manifesting as a mass of tentacles that impaled the First Dragonborn while expressing anger at his rebellion and betrayal of the trust and knowledge that had been granted to him. Mora condemned Miraak for his ingratitude and disloyalty, then transferred Miraak's soul and power to the Last Dragonborn, declaring them his new champion. The defeated Miraak, who had ruled Solstheim thousands of years ago, who had been the first to bear the dragon blood, and who had spent millennia imprisoned in Apocrypha, finally met his end. Though whether this was truly freedom or merely another form of servitude remains a question that haunts those who understand what transpired. After Miraak's defeat, the Summit of Apocrypha became a place where the Last Dragonborn could return to exchange dragon souls for the ability to recover perk points and redistribute them to other skills, a power unique to the Black Book called Waking Dreams. This ability to reset skill trees came at the cost of 1 dragon soul per skill tree, allowing the Dragonborn to customize their abilities according to their needs. Yet there is more to tell of the new powers granted to those who traveled to Solstheim. Among the most remarkable was the ability to tame and ride dragons, a power achieved through the Bend Will Shout. Once all 3 words of this shout were learned, the Dragonborn could force a dragon to submit to their will, allowing them to mount the beast and direct it to fly to specific locations and attack enemies. However, this was not complete control. The rider could target enemies for the dragon to assault, but the dragon maintained its own flight patterns and combat instincts. This ancient power was spoken of in tales of Nord heroes, whose voices were powerful enough to tame and ride dragons, and now it had been rediscovered. I must now turn your attention to the creatures that inhabit Solstheim, for many of them exist nowhere else in Tamriel. The Ash spawn are humanoid constructs formed from the ash itself, animated by heartstones buried within the gray wasteland. These beings emerge from the ash when disturbed and attack with fire-based magic, their very bodies composed of the volcanic fallout from Red Mountain. They served as guardians for those who understood the dark art of their creation, and Neloth himself sought to master the spell that would allow him to conjure such creatures. The Seekers and Lurkers that dwell within Apocrypha are servants of Hermaeus Mora, guardians of forbidden knowledge who attack any who dare enter their master's realm. Seekers appear as floating, robed entities with multiple tentacle-like appendages and no visible face, wielding powerful magical attacks, including the draining Seeker Drain spell. Lurkers are massive, tentacled monstrosities that emerge from the black waters of Apocrypha, towering over mortals and striking with tremendous physical force. On rare occasions, Lurkers have been known to appear in the mortal realm of Solstheim, particularly near areas of strong connection to Hermaeus Mora's influence. The Nechs, those floating jellyfish-like creatures from Morrowind, can also be found in certain caves on Solstheim. Master Neloth transplanted these creatures when he arrived on the island, though they remain relatively rare. The island is also home to bristlebacks, tusked pig-like creatures that the Reeklings have domesticated and ride into battle. Mounted Reeklings charge at their enemies from atop these beasts, with both the Reekling and bristleback sharing the same health, making them formidable opponents despite the diminutive size of their riders. Allow me to tell you about Nchardak, the great sunken Dwemer city and archives on the eastern coast of Solstheim. This massive ruin is inhabited by reavers and dwarven automatons, and it is divided into 4 zones: the reading room, great chamber, workshop, and aqueduct. The city was once a repository of great knowledge, and within its flooded halls lies the black book called Epistolary Acumen, sealed within a protective case that required the restoration of the aqueduct system to access. Master Neloth accompanied the Last Dragonborn into these ruins to recover this black book, navigating the complex water control mechanisms and battling the mechanical guardians that still defended the ancient archives. The quest to reach epistolary acumen required activating a series of pumps to restore water flow through the aqueduct, manipulating the water levels to access different areas of the ruins. The Dwemer had constructed an ingenious system of boilers and control cubes that powered these mechanisms, and understanding their function was essential to progressing through Nchardak's depths. 4 Nchardak aqueduct control cubes had to be retrieved and placed in pedestals to operate the pumps, each cube controlling a different aspect of the water system. I shall now turn to Kolbjorn Barrow, the ancient Nordic ruin on the southern coast that became the site of an extensive excavation. A Dunmer named Rallus Sidaris sought funding to unearth the barrow, claiming it held the relics of the dragon priest Azidal. The excavation proceeded in stages, with each phase requiring more gold from investors and, tragically, resulting in the deaths of miners and mercenaries. What Rallus did not initially realize was that his mind had been corrupted by Azidal's influence, compelling him to sacrifice these workers to resurrect the dragon priest. The excavation revealed not only Azidal himself but also his relics, unique artifacts of tremendous power. Azidal's Ring of Arcana grants 2 additional spells that can be cast from the right and left hands respectively, specifically the Ignite and Freeze spells. Azidal's Ring of Necromancy causes creatures and people killed by your conjured creatures to explode in a fiery blast that damages nearby enemies. The Boots of the Old Gods allow the wearer to walk on water, while the Gauntlets of Warding increase armor rating based on the number of Azidal relics worn. The complete set, when worn together, provides the aforementioned boost to enchanting skill. The barrow also contained the Black Book filament and filigree, which granted the reader a choice between 3 powerful abilities: Secret of Strength, which causes power attacks to cost no stamina for 30 seconds; Secret of Arcana, which makes spells cost no magicka for 30 seconds; or Secret of Protection, which reduces damage received by half for 30 seconds. Only one of these abilities could be active at a time, but the choice could be changed by rereading the Black Book. Yet there are more secrets hidden across Solstheim's frozen wastes. The ruins of Castle Karstag can be found in the northern ice fields, the former domain of a frost giant of terrible power. Though Karstag himself had been defeated in ages past during the events surrounding the Blood Moon prophecy, his spirit could be summoned once more by those brave or foolish enough to collect his skull from the glacial cave and place it upon his throne. The battle against Karstag's spirit is among the most challenging encounters on the island, for the frost giant's power is immense, and he can summon blizzards and strike with devastating force. Defeating him grants the ability to summon Karstag's spirit 3 times as an ally, though each summoning can only be used once. Gildenhole Barrow contains the spirit and treasure of Haknir Deathbrand, a legendary Nord pirate king whose tale is preserved in the book Deathbrand. This quest leads the treasure hunter across multiple locations on Solstheim to recover the complete armor set of Deathbrand, each piece hidden in a different location. The armor includes the Deathbrand armor chest piece, Deathbrand gauntlets, Deathbrand boots, and Deathbrand helm, along with the dual swords, Blood Scythe, and Soul Render. When the complete armor set is worn, it provides powerful bonuses that increase with each additional piece equipped, and the twin swords have complementary enchantments that synergize when dual-wielded. I must speak now of the March of the Dead quest, wherein Ash spawn attack Raven Rock with increasing frequency. Captain Velith of the Redoran Guard enlists aid to discover the source of these attacks, which leads to the ruins of Fort Frostmoth. Within the ash-buried remains of the old Imperial fort, the source is revealed to be General Falx Carius, the former commander of Fort Frostmoth, who was killed during the Red Mountain eruption. His body had been reanimated through dark magic, and a heartstone had been placed within him, transforming him into an ash spawn of unusual power and intelligence. The quest culminates in destroying the corrupted general and recovering his champion's cudgel, thus ending the attacks on Raven Rock. The Reluctant Steward quest involves finding a replacement steward for Master Neloth after his previous steward, Verona Nellis, is killed by ash spawn sent by Neloth's former apprentice, Ildari Sarathril. The wizard requires someone capable of handling his demanding personality and numerous requests, and the search leads to Drovus Relvi in Raven Rock, or Talvas Fathrian, Neloth's current apprentice. After this quest is completed, the room containing the staff enchanter in Tel Mithryn becomes accessible, and Neloth also reveals the location of the Black Book called the Hidden Twilight, which is locked within his tower. The Hidden Twilight Black Book offers 3 powerful abilities named after Hermaeus Mora himself. Mora's boon completely refills health, magicka, and stamina once per day. Mora's Grasp freezes enemies between Tamriel and Oblivion, making them immune to all damage for 30 seconds. And Mora's Agony summons poisonous tentacles that cover a large area and damage enemies within it. These abilities represent some of the most potent powers available from the Black Books scattered across Solstheim. The final Descent quest involves investigating the death of Gratian Corellius, the great-grandfather of Crescius Corellius, who works in Raven Rock Mine. Crescius believes his ancestor discovered something within the mine before his death in 4E10, and he seeks help exploring the sealed section of the mine that connects to Bloodskull Barrow. This investigation requires using the Bloodskull Blade, a unique 2-handed sword found within the barrow that releases red energy blasts when power attacked. These energy blasts must be used to solve a puzzle door that only opens when struck with horizontal and vertical energy patterns in the correct sequence, ultimately leading to the Chamber of Zachariasos. Beyond the Dragon Priest's chamber lies the true discovery, the skeleton of Gratian Corellius, and evidence of what he found in the sealed section. The successful completion of this quest allows the mine to reopen, providing employment for several Dunmer workers and revitalizing a small part of Raven Rock's struggling economy. If you are really enjoying these facts, leave a like. It's the only way I know you liked the video. The island holds yet more secrets in its numerous smaller locations. Ben Kongarike is a cave system inhabited by Reeklings that contains the Black Book Untold Legends, which grants abilities such as Black Market, allowing the summoning of a Dremora merchant once per day, Secret Servant, which summons a Dremora butler to carry items, or Bardic Knowledge, which grants a permanent skill point increase to one skill chosen from smithing, alchemy, or enchanting. White Ridge Barrow, beyond housing the Dragon Priest Dukan, contains the Black Book, the Sallow Regent, offering abilities related to Seeker of Might, Seeker of Sorcery, or Seeker of Shadows, each providing different combat bonuses. The Windstone, Sunstone, Earthstone, Waterstone, Treestone, and Beaststone, all corrupted by Miraak's influence, each had to be cleansed using the Bendwill Shout during the quest Cleansing the Stones. After purification, each stone granted its own standing stone blessing to those who activated it. Similar to the standing stones found throughout Skyrim, the Beaststone grants the ability to change into a werebear, the Treestone provides bonuses to conjuration spells, and each of the others offers unique benefits tied to their elemental or conceptual nature. The geography of Solstheim includes numerous unmarked locations and hidden discoveries. Haknir's Shoal is a small camp on a sandbank inhabited by pirates connected to the Deathbrand treasure. Horker Island contains a unique named Horker called Lord Tusk and the unique mace called Horksbane. Brodir Grove features a reaver camp within a circle of stones. Freaktay, Peak, and Vidcalled Peak are among the highest points on Solstheim and count as secret landmarks for those who seek to discover them. Mount Mosring, located south of Mosring Pass, is another of these 4 secret landmarks that can be found on the island. The Northern Maiden continues to sail between Windhelm and Raven Rock, its captain Gjalland Saltsage providing the only regular transportation between Skyrim and Solstheim. The ship docks at the Long Pier in Raven Rock's Bay, and 3 rowboats can be found docked elsewhere in the settlement. The journey across the Sea of Ghosts takes time, but it connects the 2 lands and allows for the flow of trade and travelers between the island and the mainland. As I conclude this account of Solstheim and the events surrounding the Dragonborn's confrontation with Miraak, I am struck by how this island torn from Skyrim in ancient times, transformed by the eruption of Red Mountain, inhabited by displaced Dunmer and isolated Nords, and harboring the influence of both the First Dragonborn and the Daedric Prince of Knowledge, represents a convergence of forces both ancient and contemporary. The Last Dragonborn's victory over Miraak did not bring complete freedom to Solstheim, for Hermaeus Mora's influence remains, and the champion of the Demon of Knowledge now walks among mortals with powers that blur the line between hero and instrument of fate. The island endures, as it has endured for millennia. The ash still falls, the Skaal still honor the Allmaker, House Redoran still governs Raven Rock with stern pride, Master Neloth still pursues his arcane research, and the Reeklings still war with Nords over Thirsk Mead Hall. The Black Books remain scattered across the ruins, tempting those who seek forbidden knowledge with promises of power. The Allmaker stones stand cleansed but watchful. The Stahlrim deposits await those who know the ancient techniques, and the ghosts of dragon priests and ancient warriors rest in their barrows, though their rest is often disturbed by those seeking their treasures and masks. Solstheim stands as a testament to survival against impossible odds, to the price of knowledge and power, and to the truth that some battles echo across ages, with champions rising and falling, while forces beyond mortal comprehension pursue their eternal games. I have walked this island and witnessed these truths, and I tell you now, Solstheim is not merely a place on a map, but a warning of what mortals may become when they grasp for powers meant for gods, and a reminder that the greatest prisons are sometimes built not with walls, but with forbidden knowledge and the promises of those who offer it.